Please remember to keep your phones off and stay seated during our speakers. Now, tonight, because it's birthday night, last Thursday of the month, we have 3 short speakers. We have long speakers during the week or during the month, and the last month we have 3 short speakers. So please, let's give a really warm, rarely group welcome to our first speaker, Karla.
Thank you. Hi, good evening. My name's Karla, and I am an alcoholic. So about 20 minutes ago, Mike looks over at me and was like, "Are you nervous?" I'm like, "No." This is my first time speaking in Prescott, so I guess I am a little nervous. I used to speak a lot, and those of you that know what I do for a living, there's no reason I should be nervous. I am a stage actor and have been doing that all my life, and but I'm here to talk about my alcoholism, so that's what we're going to do. Mike, thanks for asking me to speak. I grew up in Dayton, Ohio, a very lower middle class white girl. Dad worked for GM. I think people are always pretty amazed by this. I'm the youngest grandchild on both sides of my family. My sisters are 10 and 8 years older than me. So I was really spoiled and started entertaining at a very early age and loved the spotlight. My father was really big on wanting us girls to be popular, which is very different from a lot of other people's parents. So we were allowed to drink. I have pictures of me at probably around 18 months that I actually recently found, where I'm on the kitchen table and I'm taking a sip of my dad's beer or wine or something. The legal drinking age for my sisters was 19, and them being 10 and 8 years older than me, I remember them drinking in the house from a very early age, and I wanted to be just like my sisters. My sisters are normies, and I am not, so I guess I'm not just like my sisters. Both of my sisters got married when I was 13 years old, and I was drunk at both of their weddings. In fact, one got married in June and one got married in August, and I was blackout, pass-out drunk at my sister's wedding. And I remember the family she married into looking at me like, "What the hell is going on? This 13-year-old is wasted and making an ass of herself." So I knew pretty early on that I wasn't like normal people. I was definitely the girl that would go to sleepovers and raid people's parents' liquor cabinets. I mean, as young as like 8 years old. I kind of have this yin and yang personality, and probably still do today, where there are times when I am wicked good and like, you know, I was in high school, I was president of Students Against Drunk Driving, which I think is really funny. You know, and then I would be out wasted and lose my shoes and like driving. I remember one time I drove from Cincinnati to Dayton, oh no, I didn't lose my shoes. I wore some other guy's shoes. I have big feet. I'm tall, not a small girl. So I was wearing some guys like penny loafers and passed out I drove from Cincinnati to Dayton, Ohio, where I'm from, and was passed out on the bathroom floor and like woke up with my pants around my ankles. This is in college. And I remember my mom saying, my mom didn't drink. I'm going to talk about my parents in the past tense. They're both dead. My mom didn't drink, and she was always amazed. How did I raise 3 girls that like to drink and smoke so much? And I was like, look at your husband. But she did say to me a couple of times, you know, you got to be careful because addiction is a family disease, and it definitely runs on your dad's side of the family. So, you know, I was a party girl. If you call partying being wasted and making out with every guy in the bar and dancing on the bar top and passing out and sleeping with strangers, a party girl, doing cocaine, pissing in my bed, things like that, a party girl. So I was a party girl. But I also was blessed to get into a really challenging musical theater program when I was younger, and I was talked to and told that I had to buckle down because I could get kicked out, because we started with 30 in my class and graduated with 13 because it's a cut system. Today I'm a theater educator. It's a system I don't agree with now, but it's the system that I went through. So I did what I thought I should do. I got a boyfriend, so then I would not party as much. So I was able to get through college, and then I got into a really good grad program as well. And I was in an MFA acting program, classical acting program. And so I remember I was like 24, and I was saying to some of my friends there, you know, I thought I was just a party girl, but I realized this is just who I am. And I went to grad school in Boston. Anyone from Boston? Sturrow Drive, does anyone know it? I just remember being wasted on Sturrow Drive, being like, I love Sturrow Drive, getting like cigarette butts out of my, the ashtray in my car. And so anyway, I'm gonna fast forward I'm living in New York City. I'm 30 years old, and I was attacked one night by knife point. I won't get into details, but I was contacted by a woman from the Crime Victims Treatment Center, and when you're a victim of a violent crime like that, you have to tell your story over and over and over again. And I was so sick of telling it, and my mom had flown out, and she's like, maybe you need to call this woman back. So I called her back, and she had me go to her office in Uptown and like Washington Heights, and we talked for an hour, and afterwards she's like, do you want to come back next week? And I was like, yeah. And that's how I started therapy. I didn't realize it was therapy at the time, but like, so while I'm going through this, I was asked if I wanted to make a victim's impact statement at the trial of this man who attacked me. And I did. And I read this, so I guess standing up in front of you guys shouldn't be nerve-wracking, standing up in front of a judge and the man that attacked me almost a year beforehand at his sentencing should be a little more nerve-wracking. But I said all these things that he had taken away from me, taken away my drive, my zest for life, all of these things. And it was only about a week later that I realized, no, he didn't take this away from me. That alcohol had taken that away from me years ago. So I got sober, and that was May 27th of 2004 was the day I surrendered. And I got sober in New York City, a great place to get sober. And I stayed sober for 10 and a half years. My life changed immensely. I became a theater professor full-time. I got tenure, met the man of my dreams, bought a house, cars, working the programs, sponsees, working with my sponsor, working the steps. Life is good. At 5 years of sobriety, my mom died of breast cancer. Stayed sober for another 5.5 years. In 2014, I was diagnosed with breast cancer and stayed sober through all of my treatments. And then in January of 2015, I started to question if I was really an alcoholic or not. And just like the big book says, and like people say in meetings, it gets worse. So if you're here and you do have some time and you ever convince yourself that maybe I'm not an alcoholic or an addict, maybe I'll convince you that you don't need to do any more experimentation. Because in my 20s, I was a party girl who blacked out, who had some awful shit happen to her. In my 30s, I got sober. I became a tenured professor. I won awards. I won Mentor of the Year award that came with a $10,000 check. I had major accolades, an amazing partner, and it all went to shit. My partner and I ended up breaking up in 2016. And it wasn't because of my drinking. Actually, he cheated on me, the love of my life. But he was still my best friend. It took me a while to forgive him. And of course, I ended up meeting a man not long after and started dating him. And then I ended up taking a job. I was living in Des Moines, Iowa, and I ended up taking a job in Albany, New York. And so I'm thousands of miles away from everyone I know and everyone I care about. My family's all here in Prescott, by the way. That's how I landed here. And things started getting bad. And then the Kavanaugh hearings started and brought up a bunch of old wounds. If you know what it is, you know what it is. If you don't need to know. But so I was the chair of a program. I would work 18-hour days with rehearsals at night, come home and drink a bottle of vodka and smoke a pack of cigarettes. And therein started my daily drinking. My partner of 10 years, well, first of all, I always forget this. My dad died in 2018. It was 2017 when I moved to Albany. My dad died in 2018, and my best friend and partner died in May of 2019. I was still doing a long-distance relationship with my partner in Des Moines, and shit was really bad there in terms of the work. It was just awful, and I ended up quitting and not having a job and moving back to Des Moines, burying my best friend, and not knowing what I was going to do. And then I got a job in Michigan. So I packed up my shit once again and moved to Michigan in late August of 2019. So I'm in Michigan, and my alcoholism is getting worse and worse. And for the first time in my life, I was driving home from work one day, and I had the shakes so bad that I couldn't wait to get in the door and just start chugging on vodka. And that's when I knew things were really bad. So I went to detox, and I've been trying to get sober since then again. I went to treatment. The first time around, I didn't go to treatment at all. I went into AA and stayed sober for 10 and a half years. So treatment doesn't have to be a part of your story. But so then I went to treatment in July, got drunk again, went to treatment here in December, had another relapse, went back into treatment. And then finally, in all these years that I've been around this program, for the first time ever, I said to my sponsor, I will do anything you tell me to do to stay sober. Today I'm working the steps again. I can't tell you how many times I've done them. I go to at least one meeting a day. I go to IOP 6 days a week. I live in a sober house. I am working another program. And I am blessed with the fact that I don't have to work today. So I'm able to go to 2 meetings a day at IOP 6 days a week. I can tell you that it doesn't get easier, but life can change and be better when you decide to surrender, work the steps, and ask for help. I'm a stubborn person and I don't like to ask for help, but today I need a lot of help. And I'm grateful for these rooms and for all of you and for seeing some familiar faces here tonight. And with that, I'll pass.
What a great talk, Karla. Thank you very much. It's so great to have you here. And please help me welcome Derick.
So guys, I'm Derick. I'm an alcoholic. I wrote some things down, but I don't think it's going to come in handy. Yeah, it was cool. So thank you for inviting me to speak, and thank you, Karla. When you first told me that I was going to be speaking, someone else asked me to speak at an HA meeting last night, And that's 20 minutes. And so I was like, I'm a big fan of comedy, so I was like, 20 minutes, I can get a tight 15 out of this. And that's not the case. I had to think about multiple things that were going to, basically I was like, maybe I can just bring some jokes and try them out. It's just all bad. So that's not the point of this. So I kind of just wanted to start with basically just explaining my qualifications without getting too much into my past. I don't really need to explain why I earned a seat here. It's pretty apparent that like from getting to know everyone and like sharing in other situations, it's like I have this I've had this thing my entire life that's kind of just like a godlessness is the best way that I can describe it. It's a pit in my stomach that I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't even know it was there for a long time. I filled it with like the love of other people. I was like, I didn't have that much of a bad experience at home. Like I had like the little things that I would like to have changed or had be different. I would be cool if my dad didn't leave, but like all those things didn't really like cause it. Those were just like those like added on to what was already there. And then when I found alcohol and drugs, I've had the alcohol phase. I'm a big fan of heroin. I've done the sex, the gambling. It's kind of like that. I can fill that with anything. I can fill it with an unbalance of basically anything, good or bad. And so, yeah, basically going through all that, that godlessness. So there's like this pit in me, and I found it with drugs and alcohol, and I filled it with like different like kinds, different things, different stuff, and it just kept that small bit of peace kept getting like shorter and shorter and shorter, and life kept getting like more miserable and more miserable. And even as like I came out of it, I still would think about like the good parts of it, or the good parts that were to me like these little memories in between these like extensive periods of just misery. And that's what my mind likes to do. My mind likes to overthink everything and think my way into the worst situations. And I like how it was touched on by Wes and by Karla, that I didn't know it was that missing God piece, and I didn't know it was a surrender that was needed. That was what was brought to me through the people that I met in this program. People have been telling me that my whole life, but like I wasn't able to listen until I met other people that have been through it like me. So as far as the surrender and like finding that God today, at least for me, like today I was I went to I've been doing yoga a lot, and that's been a big part of my experience this time. It's not only the steps have given me like tools to like break down my day. It has given me the tools to kind of clean up my past and not have to think so much about everything. It's like given me more trust in what has been in my gut the entire time. But like at the end of the experience I had today at yoga, I was like laying there, and I had this like, I don't know if anyone else does this, but like when I start talking to God, I'm like, why am I here? You know what I mean? And I was like what is why am I on this like planet? I don't know, getting off topic, but I was like thinking about all that, and like finally, I'm sure it's gonna happen multiple times. I surrendered just to the thought that like that's always like God's always been there. Like even the situations in my experiences, like a really rough one that happened here in Prescott was like I was in a crazy psychosis, and I jumped off the third floor balcony of this apartment downtown, and then I came back after like a long run and stuff like that, and I came back and I was in this room at a nooner, and I shared that. And Brady came up to me afterwards, and he's like, man, I've been thinking if you were alive ever since that day. Like he was the one that walked up and like stayed with me after I hit the ground until the ambulance came. And it's just like God's been there for me. If it's not like because I don't believe it in myself, it's been there through the people around me, like through my family, through like people along the way, and I just haven't been able to like see the truth in that. And so like diving into the steps this time has been it's been important, but like I take things too literally. Like when people are like, just give it to God, like I imagine myself like giving it to God. Like it's not like that in my experience. It's like I had to learn that God is inside of me, and giving it to me is getting it out of here and like giving it to something that has been in control the entire time. And I like quick pleasure. I don't like the long game. Well, this doesn't like the long game, but like I've been learning this time that I've been learning that as long as I am able to take a breath and like get through each day, then I am able to trust in this a little bit more. Let's see. Touch a little bit on surrender. So yeah, surrender has been like my sponsor told me this time that like sobriety is just like a series of surrenders. It's with a little bit of arrogance in between, I think is how it was worded. And that's been my experience fully this time. I surrendered to like, this isn't working again. Like I'm back in this situation, and then like I surrendered to coming here, and then I get to this point where I think I got it. I think I can leave, and like I think I can do my thing, and I have to surrender that like I don't really know what's best for me when I'm having to think about it. And yeah, so through I wish I could tap more on the steps, but like all this has done for me is like gotten me to a point where I just like am able to feel God inside of me, and I'm able to use these tools to kind of break down my day on a daily like level. Like it's like I want to be like give it all to God, but then I want to be like, but I did the work, and like, but then like God is me, so it's like I don't know, I can give it all to God and myself, and that's all I got.
Thank you, Derick. I love that story, and Brady loves attention, so that worked out really well. So, okay, now, and we're running a little bit early. Thank you guys for watching your time. So now, please help me welcome our last speaker, Ben.
Still clumsy, even though I'm sober. I don't think that ever goes away. My name's Ben. I'm an alcoholic. Oh, wow. I haven't shared my story in a long time. Actually, ironic enough, I grew up in Chino Valley. I have 3 siblings. I kind of grew up in a really strict Christian family. And I remember kind of growing up, everything was wrong. Going to church, I don't know, like I ended up going to the Potter's house for a while, and and it just so someone else kind of knows what it's like too. But I don't know, like God to me was more of like a paranoia, and I remember being a kid and having I don't know, like the little get-togethers with the kids underneath the basement, and it was really dark, and that was pretty scary. So I'd ask my mom to, bring me out of that so I could like come out to everyone else in the church. And I don't know, man. As far as my perception on God, I was just like I didn't want to have anything to do with it, me growing up. I don't know, man. I was really alone. I had siblings that, I don't know, I just didn't get along with. They had their own thing going on. I didn't really make much friends till I was in about, 4th grade. We ended up moving away because of a divorce from my parents. I don't know, I ended up getting really depressed, gaining a lot of weight. I ended up moving back, and I was this big overweight kid in high school, middle school. And I don't know, I ended up going back, and all my good friends that I had ended up just wanted nothing to do with me, you know, and they just kind of, I remember one of my best friends, I was playing basketball with him, and he just like, dude, I can't hang out with you anymore, you know. He's like, I'm afraid how I'm going to look around the other kids, you know. And so I stopped talking to people for like 4th grade through, wow, almost junior level. I mean, I just didn't talk to anybody. You know, I kind of wish people would talk to me, but I was like, oh no, I kind of had enough. My story is I didn't actually start drinking until I was 17. And I remember I don't know, I'd met some people, they invited me out, and they made me chug a beer. And I was, I don't know, I didn't feel anything. We ended up going to McDonald's. We came back, I unwrapped the cheeseburger, and I just start fucking laughing at this cheeseburger, you know, like I don't even know why. It was just the funniest thing in the world. But I don't know, it was like I was outside of myself. And man, like, you know, from then on out, you know, my first drunk, it was just like the most amazing thing. I ended up getting high and drunk on the first night. So I didn't really know the difference between the two. And from there on out, I just kind of knew I was like, this is my world, man. You know, I could talk to people, I could make jokes, felt like I fit in. And that's what it was like for a really long time. And I don't know, man. I progressed into so many different things, you know, acid, pills. Pills were probably the worst. I started out with Percocet, 'cause I was like, hell yeah, you know, I don't feel any pain. I could shoot some alcohol back with that. And I don't know, it was just a mixture, man. I just mixed everything just to feel okay, to feel like I was myself. And I don't know, man. I just progressed and stopped asking what those pills were anymore. You know, I don't know, it's a good term, like a trail mix, you know. I always had like a little trail mix going on. And I remember always moving and trying over and starting over and, you know, losing a lot of jobs. I couldn't hold any jobs. I was just a big mess. And I ended up in Flagstaff, started over again. At the time, I was kind of drinking pretty heavily with my brother, and he had went to a meeting because he was the one with the problem, so I went to help and support him, you know. And I remember going with him, and my perception of the meeting was like, you know, all these sick people. Like, my perception on an alcoholic was some old guy at the park with a, you know, wrapped up bottle in a plastic or in a paper bag, you know, sitting on a bench. You know, I didn't really know what an alcoholic was. And for him, it was like, you know, I just supported him, you know, and I thought the chairperson was some guy that was, you know, making sure everything was all right. He wasn't sober or anything, you know. He was just kind of, I don't know, making sure everybody kind of, you know, paid attention or behaved themselves or whatever. I don't know. But I don't know. I ended up hitting a few meetings, and it was just it just shocked the hell out of me because I kept it inside that I had a lot of pain, and I remember losing my job and not really wanting to tell anybody, and being homeless and not really wanting to tell anybody. And I would just like randomly use people's sinks, you know, at Safeway, just to, like, try to shave, or, you know, I would have, you know, clothes, I would try to wipe them down, you know, because I would run into people and they're like, that was the worst thing. I didn't want to be honest if you asked me how I was doing, you know. And I ended up getting really sober up in Flagstaff. Met a lot of good friends, actually dived into the program. I got a sponsor. And I guess I kind of wanted to share this because I thought it was really important, because, you know, everybody has their own little journey in this. I've tried this program a few times, you know, and ended up going out quite a few different times. This last time was I didn't share everything, you know. There was just a few things, man, that I couldn't share, I couldn't face. And man, you know, I just knew I couldn't. I was taking them to the grave. And I lasted for a little bit of time. I eventually stopped going to meetings. I think I ended up having almost 12 years in the program. But those last few years were just like so fucking dry. And I couldn't face myself, you know, for who I really was. And I ended up having like a pretty fucking shitty relapse. I mean, for me, like, the shitty part was nothing was working anymore. You know, I just, I didn't care how much I drank. It didn't matter what I did. I just, like, I don't know, man. I couldn't get the guts to kill myself. I'm sure a lot of you guys relate to that part. But I don't know. Fast forwarding till now, I ended up moving back to Prescott, where I kind of grew up, and the only thing I could think of was I had asked for a friend for help, and sure enough, I ended up in Chino Valley, like the one place I started out. And my first feeling was like, I don't want to fucking be here, man. This is like the last place I want to be, you know? And I don't know, man. It's just so weird how things can kind of change in your head, like perceptions on things, because I don't know, man. I came in the rooms, I sat in the back. I felt like I was that kid that I was back in high school where I just didn't want anybody to talk to me, but I wanted people to talk to me. And, you know, eventually people started saying hi, and eventually I kind of had to talk to people. And, I don't know, I ended up meeting a really good sponsor. And, it was just kind of ironic because he was going to be the guy that I'd asked, and sure enough, I had to ask for help. You know, I raised my hand, I shared at the meeting. I was like, I can't fucking do this anymore, man. I can't run sobriety on my own, you know. And I ended up asking him, and I don't know. I'm still going through the steps. I'm on step 8, but God, man, like, I don't know, man. This program wakes you up, man. It makes you feel like you're a part of. And I've heard some pretty crazy stories, and you know, I got all those secrets out for once. You know, I'm not dealing with those anymore. And it's just been weird because the past like few weeks, it's just like, I don't know, man. I can wake up and I can just shoot through the day, and it's weird that, like, no matter what, I'm always going to be an alcoholic, like, whether or not I'm drinking. Like, I just always want more. I want to feel good, you know? And it's just like, I don't know, man. I need these meetings. I need people to tell me. It's just like, dude, pray about it, man. You know? Get through it. And for me, that's like, the praying part is really fucking hard. But I ended up doing 2 amends, and my 2 amends I did just recently was, you know, I'm kind of waiting on the other ones till I kind of write down the last bit of them, but I got to make amends to myself, you know, like, from all the shit I put myself through and all the times I beat myself up over stuff, you know. And you know, the second one was the only time I talked to God, I asked him for help, you know. And I just feel like, for me, it's like, I want to try a different perspective on it. Like, I want to feel like he's a part of my life, like he's my best friend, you know, like my dad, like maybe a dad that I've never had, you know, and just kind of talk to him like he's like a person, man, you know. It's like, I don't know, you know, it's like, maybe just start praying for other stuff, you know, to hear something that day, or like, you know, I don't know, this program, I can be so fucking stuck in my own head about something. And then when I hit a meeting or I call up my sponsor, it's just like, holy shit, I'm not the only one, you know, here we go, back on track, you know. But for me, this program is just, I'm still going through it, man. I feel like I'm just a guinea pig, you know. I'm testing out certain things, and some things I'm like, okay, maybe not that, you know. And then a good friend of mine actually kind of, I don't know, made me aware of some stuff. And you know, that kind of really helped too, because I just, like, I don't know, man, like having friends that can be able to, I don't know, just actually be there and call you on your shit, and still be okay. I don't know. It's just this whole program is just like pretty amazing to me because for me, by nature, I'm just like I'm stuck in myself no matter what, and I wake up in the day. And the first thing I've been doing lately is just hit my knees, and do the 3rd step prayer and the 7th step prayer. And it's like, I don't know, like I've been reading a bit more, and it's weird that I'm like going through books and highlighting them, and I'm like, oh man, I didn't bring my big book today, but it's just like, pay attention to what people say the most in this program. Like hit as much meetings as you can, especially when you're first coming in. Get yourself a sponsor, man. You can't do this by yourself. I mean, you could do it by yourself, but it's going to be pretty fucking miserable. But for me, I'm really grateful for this program, and I was glad you guys get me prepared for this step. So, yeah, thanks for having me.